Hi everyone. I played in a Go tournament this weekend. I recorded one of the games that I played most of the way through. I had to stop short of the end because I ran out of time, but wanted to go through that game with you and talk about it. So it was a nice tournament. It was 4 rounds, played all in one day. The time control was game in 40 minutes with 5 Byo-Yomi periods of 20 seconds each, so very fast. Time control for an over-the-board game. And the players were of all different levels. I was one of the lower rated players there, but they used the handicap system to give you a number of stones handicap equal to the difference in rank between you and your opponent. And that seemed to work pretty well. So it seemed like most of the games were competitive. This particular game was the closest one in ranking. I had a ranking of 18Q, which I just took my ranking from OGS, and my opponent had a ranking of 16K, which I believe also came from OGS, the online Go server. There were a lot of players there who had never played in a tournament, so they didn't have an AGA rated. AGA is the American Go Association. But actually, I should get an AGA rating after this tournament. So in one of these other videos, I will let you know what it is. The tournament hasn't been rated yet, and it's probably already been submitted. The guys seem pretty efficient there, but it takes the AGA about a week to rate these tournaments, or they do that on a weekly cycle and update them. Okay, anyway, let's go to the game. Because there's this rating difference between the two of us, I have a 2-stone handicap. So I have the black pieces, and I get to place 2 stones, and there's no komi. The komi is just half a point. And let's see. So these 2 stones are traditionally placed on the start points. I mean, that's the way it's played. And then my opponent makes the first real move, and he plays at a start point. So let's go through the opening. I think this is pretty normal. I decided to use my extra stones to try and defend my corners securely. So 2 stones doesn't seem like a whole lot. I played some 5 and 6 stone handicap games, and you can do quite a lot with when you have so many stones. With just 2 stones, didn't really seem to help a whole lot. But I do have, more stones in these 2 corners than my opponent, and this corner is unchosen. And I decided to leave it open and just let him play a stone here. So we have sort of a cross Hoshi game where he's got diagonally opposite corners. And I approach his corner over here, and he defends, and then I approach. And then this is the first, I would say, surprising move of the game. He played this very low, and it restricts this group, right? It prevents it from expanding in this direction. I just hadn't seen this idea before. So I assume the idea for black is just to go into the corner. That's what you did this approach for. You're approaching the corner and then trying to sneak in. And if he doesn't let you, if he doesn't block here, then you can take a bigger share of the corner and live here. But you are giving up this material on the side. The way the normal sequence goes, white blocks here, and then black brings a stone back this way and gets territory on this side and lives over here, as well as with the share of the corner. So that prevents me, this stone prevents me from living over here. It's sort of placed in advance, so I have to go with a different strategy. So I think this should be okay, though. In fact, it's probably good for black because you don't see it played so often. But anyway, this was my reaction to it. And then I tried to expand a little bit in this direction. Maybe I could have gone and played somewhere else after I played into the corner. And then this was the second surprising move. This is a kind of a strange looking cut. And I noticed throughout the game that my opponent likes to play cuts, just break my stones apart. And particularly when there's a knight's move. A knight's move, is something where there's 2 paths by which the 2 stones that are separated by a knight's move can connect. But white can block both of them. White has 2 moves in which to block them. So a stone there I could place here, and he could place a stone there. So the knight's connection is the kind of connection that can be cut. Usually, though, or often, it's the case that cutting that has some liability. It introduces a fight in which the player that is cutting is at somewhat of a disadvantage, which is why you don't often see you see the knight's move played a lot, and you don't always see this kind of automatic cut. But my opponent seemed to do that a lot. Anyway, we continued like here. He placed another couple stones there, and then I cut his stones, and he could try and connect underneath. I was very surprised when he played over here. So he's basically giving up these 2 stones, and I placed a stone here to make sure I capture them. So I'm alive over here, but it's not a lot of points. I do have, it looks like a wall facing in this direction, but it's kind of a low wall, so he can maybe place stones on top of it. And he got some space over here, so probably an okay result for white from that kind of funny play. And then when he places this cut here, I felt like I had to place another stone in the corner to make sure I was alive there. And then he extended out in this direction. Let's see, I approached over here to the other corner. I felt like this was done. And he pincered again. And yeah, this is similar to what he played over here. He first played one defensive move and then he pincered. Now he just pincers right away. So this is a guy who likes to fight, I guess. And so I did kind of a counter pincer trying to surround this stone. But I think a more typical response would be running out. And based on what happened later in the game, maybe that would have been better. At least I would have been interested in seeing what kind of response I got. But at the same time, when I run out like this, this is giving him, I'm not contesting this corner just yet. I guess I could come back to it later. I didn't have to immediately approach the corner down here. But anyway, so I chose to kind of come in on this side as well, try and limit how much space he could grab in that corner. And I did. Let's see, I got this group here, so it's taking space away from his corner, and I'm looking to, in an ideal case, I could connect up these groups. This is a pretty large territory. I'm up on the 4th line here. So he invaded right here at in between the 2 groups, and I probably should have responded right away. The move I played was up here. I was thinking, I've got this big corner here, and I would like to make a big move. But after I played that, he played this move, so he's expanding this group. He's going to be able to live over here because I'll have to take a move to defend. Maybe I still could have disrupted it by playing better later, but he's definitely reduced the influence of this group over here. So if we back up, at this point, when he played in the middle, I could have played at that point myself, expanding this group and limiting what he can do with his stone. I think maybe that would have been a better play. He could have grabbed territory over on this side of the board, so there would have still been a trade-off, but it seems like if he had done that, then I could grab more territory over on this side. Anyway, might have been a better play. I played up here. Like I said, he expanded down at the bottom side, and play continued there for a while. It seems like he's got the makings of some territory there. And once again, this stone, when I played here, I was still thinking about this area and trying to use up my free moves. Whenever I felt I had some breathing room, I would try and place a stone back here to make a lot of territory for myself. But on the other hand, I could have also played a stone in here instead and tried to prevent white from making any territory, and that might have been a better plan. Okay, but I played up there, and he made his space here. So he's definitely going to live over here on the side. And at this point, when this group is alive and I don't have something to attack, I do have to worry about this group living. There's basically just one eye here. So I extended, and now at this point, I think I'm safe over here. I think I have an eye in this area. If he invades, for example, here, I can place a stone there. If he places a stone here to prevent me from making an eye, I can place a stone there, and this I would still have this space and some eye in here. So that was my thinking. I think that's correct. So let's see. He approached up at the upper right, and I defended the corner. So I did get this pretty big corner. He continued attacking for a while, and then I thought, well, this is stable. I didn't see. He fixed his weakness there, and I thought I should really try to branch out to the center at this point, and maybe looking at things, maybe I should have branched out from this wall. I might have been able to make a much bigger branch and much bigger jump, and maybe keep these stones low by branching out up here. But anyway, I decided to branch out from this corner. I guess partly I was trying to limit what this group would turn into. Unsuccessfully, as it turned out, but that's getting ahead of ourselves. So let's play a few moves. He didn't react immediately to this, but he kind of attacked my stones in the corner here, and then made some territory for himself over here. So I invaded in this little group, but well, once again he cut, and by now I should have predicted that and thought about it. So let's think about this now. Is there a good way to answer that cut? I just played on top, and then he actually wins this stone. It's cut off and it dies. After that cut, I could try extending to make it harder for him to kill that stone. I could try a Hane on this side. Say I tried that, he could still win this stone. I could come on top and attack this stone and play it like that. I don't know. Seems like this is still pretty decent formation from him, but maybe I've reduced him a little bit on the top. Maybe I've knocked him down a little bit. Anyway, yeah, I just didn't seem to react well to all these cuts. I just made that connection, and well, I did get some stones on top. And he never actually took there, or he didn't take there right away. And then right here, this move here turned out to be the beginning of a really big territory for white. And from large territories, from small beginnings, large territories grow. It was kind of an annoying move, right? I was trying to expand this group to the center, and it prevents me from expanding over in this direction, which gives white. It seems like white has a lot of influence over here at the moment. Well, he's got this, he's on the outside here. I could maybe jump out over here as a better way to react and try and counteract this wall. Or maybe play on top over here. Anyway, let's follow ahead and see what happens. I found it pretty frustrating. I did try and jump out on this side. I found it pretty frustrating that these stones here prevented my stones from linking up in this direction. But you gotta live with what your opponent gives you. But I went straight up, and he just extended. And you can see, well, we have the beginnings of a wall. He's got a little wall running here on this side, another one running on this side, and between the walls, there's nothing, right? That's all white territory if I don't do anything about it. And I wasn't really aware of this danger until much later in the game. Let's see. He was sort of peeping at this connection, and so I connected there. I didn't want my stone to get cut off, and then he extended. And then right here, I think this was the point when I definitely should have put a stop to this wall building by doing a Hane here. I was once again a little bit worried about this cut. He would, I expect, cut there, just based on his previous play. I don't know, maybe he would have Haned in this direction. But the cut doesn't work. I mean, it works. He can cut there, but then I get these 3 stones here, and I think I should be happy with this result. These stones can link up with these stones over here, so I don't think, even though they're cut off, I don't think they will be lost. I think they have prospects, and they can also threaten to connect to these stones over here. You would probably block that, but at least those threats would allow me to gain some space over here out in this direction and out in this direction to link up with these stones. So I think I could live there. So I think that's the way I should have played. Instead, I just kept extending, getting closer to my stones over here and limiting his influence of this group on the side. So he played in here, and then I placed this knight's move, this stone, and it's a knight's move away from both of these stones. That was my idea. What I extended one more time so I could get this move in. And but there are some cuts there, and he immediately plays one. so I guess we know what kind of game this is. Well, once again, I don't think I reacted in the best way to this cut. I should probably have just blocked, prevented his stone from connecting up with these stones, and then just gone out in this direction. And this stone can still link up with here, so it's no big loss if this wall is disconnected from these stones. I shouldn't be so worried about that. This wall is still connected to this group here, which is alive, so I should be okay with that. Let's see. But instead, I left things as they were and played back over here, just still trying to branch out into the center from this group, also kind of leaning on this side group that white has, prevent it from growing too much. And he builds his wall some more. So, and I expand out, and now he places a stone here, looking at the break in between my 2 stones, so I fill in, and he places one more stone. And now you can see this has become even more of a problem, that the wall is extended up further and it's become wider, so it's now a much bigger area. And so I'm actually getting killed in this game by this kind of slow and creeping process. And I try the cut now to try and break this up, but my stone just gets cut off here, and I don't seem to find a way to rescue it. I counterattack his stone. He just extends, and of course he can connect up with these stones here, so he's not going to lose anything. It wouldn't be a big loss in any case. I just wanted to make sure I was connected with my stones here, and now I have a lot of territory in this direction. I was thinking this is an okay result for me because I get to build out this big framework here. This looks like a lot of territory. But he immediately invades over here, so he's trying to reduce my corner and also break into this territory. Say I block, goes there, I defend the corner, he plays around there, and then I defend the corner again, and now he played at this stone at M11. So this left a gap, and he said after the game he thought this was a big risk and that I should have just taken this point at some played a stone here at some point, and I had this idea that I could catch these stones. They're isolated from this group, and they don't have a lot of friends. But I was trying to extend first. I was trying to basically prevent these stones from running away. And then he played here, and then I said, well, I better connect in some way. So I also wanted to block him from building his wall further, so I played that way. And then I blocked him from extending, and then he cuts, right? So once again, I've gotten myself into some trouble here. So I had the intention of coming back and cutting these stones off, but now he's managed to cut my stones first. It seems like I can win that stone, and I do. And then he captures my stones, and he was threatening this group. I felt like he was threatening this group. He could play here. Maybe this is an overreaction. Maybe I didn't need to play that move, because now, after he plays there, and I make some eye space, yeah, I guess he was threatening to cut this group off. This needs to connect to these stones over here, or it's not alive. So maybe those moves were necessary. Then those attacks bought him some time to come back here and repair this cut. And now this group is going to be alive too. So if I place a stone here, he can run it this way and then cut it off. So I don't know. Maybe I should have tried the cut here anyway. Maybe I should have still tried this cut. So I can't really escape. Yeah, I think that cut doesn't work, but it's hard to say. Anyway, yeah, so in the game I didn't play it. And I just played over here and secured my stone, so at least I keep my area. But now he's got this giant wall over here. And I have this wall over here, so I start trying to use this wall. I think this is logical, and I branch out. Like I mentioned before, I had the option when I started branching out from this direction to branch out from here. But somehow these moves are not netting me a lot of territory. And now he starts building a wall over here. And let's see, what was my comment there? Yeah, he's extending his wall some more. He's pushed me back, and he's just building it out. So it's just turning into a giant territory. And also by this point, yeah, we're in move 127. I'm running low on time, so I'm moving very quickly. And in fact, I make an outright blunder here. He put this stone in Atari, and I didn't even defend it. I attacked his stone. I thought I was putting his stone in Atari, but of course, he can just take my stone. So that's the way it was going at this point. And I made sure that well, these guys stayed connected, and yeah, I for a while I was confused about this group. I thought I needed to make sure it's had a connection, but actually I can always just take these two stones and it's alive. So I think I was laboring under a misconception for a while there. Now I did manage to branch out here a little bit, and once again he cuts. Typical kind of move that he makes. Yeah, I play the knight's move here, and he just automatically cuts there. And this is a good cut because it comes with tempo. It hits my stone, and this really prevents me from building a lot of from building much territory over here. I mean, I get my stones out, and which means that he's not getting territory over here, but I'm not gaining any points either. And then my attempt to cut over here was a failure. He just surrounds it, and so that was a wasted move. And maybe I get a little space over here, and that's where I ran out of time. So this is the last move that I recorded in the game. But well, White won this game by about 40 points, and that this area in the center was about 30 points, I think, just by itself. So I think that's where a lot of his victory came from. So good game by White. Just kind of slowly building this territory step by step, and using his attacks on my groups to build these walls, and just I just need to be a little more aware of what's going on in my own play to deal with these things better. Also, I need to calculate better on those cuts. I either need to stop playing all those knights moves, or I need to understand how to deal with those cuts. Okay, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let's talk about the tournament. Actually, I had a good result in the tournament. I had 3 wins and 1 loss. The one game I recorded was the game I lost, this one, but my other 3 games were wins, and one of them was pretty nice. I had some nice tactics in that game, where I captured some stones using the crane's nest technique. If you've seen that, I think I talked about that in one of the beginning Go videos. A very interesting capturing technique, and yes, it does happen in real games. And those games were a little different in that they had much larger handicap numbers. So when you have a handicap of 5 or 6 stones, you really do control a lot of area, and your opponent is obliged to attack you, and you just have to correctly defend your area, and you're okay. So I won those games where I had a large handicap, and then I also won a game where my opponent had a large handicap, and he had a 5-point handicap, I think, and or maybe 6. Yeah, I think he had a 6-point handicap, and he played well at first, but so I'm down. I'm playing second. He's got all the corners, and so I'm just always invading and attacking, and and he responded initially correctly to the invasions, but then he never defended. He would set up some groups like he was going to keep one of the corners. In other corners, he just let me invade, and he put his stones on top, which is interesting, but I would have been more tempted to just try and hold on to the territory rather than letting me invade. But in one corner, he did try to hold on to it. He let me capture his group. He didn't defend his group correctly. So I was able to overcome the handicap and win that game. So with 3 wins and 1 loss, I actually won first place in my division. So that was the lowest division. There were like 4 divisions at the tournament. There was a total of 16 boards, so there were 32 players playing. And the rankings, there were several Don level players there, a lot of low Q players, and so it was a good mix of players, and interesting to play against them. Anyway, let's see. I think that's all I had to say about the video. Oh, I did want to mention one thing. This was played for the under American Go Association rules, and they're different than the Japanese rules that I play at on the online Go server. So what you do with the American Go Association is you play all the moves out. You fill in all the dame points, all the neutral points, and then if you pass, you have to give your opponent a stone. So that's why you fill in the dame points. It's better to fill in a point which is worthless than to give a stone to your opponent, because that's a point for him. And then the game ends when both sides pass, and White has to pass last. So the result of this is that, and then after that you count the territory as usual. But the result of that is this kind of reconciles the difference between the Chinese scoring and the Japanese scoring, because the fact that White has to move one more time, so everybody has so there's an even number of moves in the game because Black moves first, so White moves last. And so it gives results that agree with both the Japanese and the Chinese scoring method. Anyway, it was an interesting experience, and learned how to play with a clock. The reason, the reason I didn't record any more games was the first two games were I didn't know about it, that they had score sheets there, and then someone pointed it out to me. So I thought with the third game I'd try recording, and it's such a fast time control that I think the recording affected my game. I think it slowed me down noticeably and left less time for thinking. So in my fourth game, I didn't bother to record it. I just tried to play my best and ended up winning that game. So it was a fun experience, and so I can recommend if you're in the U.S., you can check out the American Go Association website. I joined the American Go Association, and they have information about local clubs there, and that's how I found the tournament. And that's it for this video. Hope you guys liked it. Leave any comments you have, and I will see you again soon. Bye.